Hey, what's going on? I'm Brandon Bain.
And I'm Dan Foulds. Thanks, fans, for being here. Please like this post, like Coach's Corner's page. If you see it on YouTube or if you see it on Twitter, go ahead and hit that like button over there, and don't be afraid to share the videos. Please do follow us. This is Rubbin' and Grubbin', and this show is for you. And also thanks to John Henderson, Adele Henderson, and Coach's Corner for allowing us to be here tonight, right here at Coach's Corner, the center of the universe. So if things look different, don't adjust your monitor. We're going 3 wide tonight. I'd like to introduce and welcome PJ Zucco from ESPN Radio. PJ, thanks.
Good to be here.
So if you listen to ESPN's Savannah Hilton Head, that's 104.3 FM, 1400 AM, no doubt you've heard PJ. He's on several ESPN shows. He's the host of High School First Look, High School Game Day during football season. His hosting duties for game day includes pregame, halftime, and postgame coverage. You're a busy man, PJ.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I try to be.
He also hosts the Cavalier Corner for Calvary Day School. So thanks again for teaming up with us. So let's start this show over again one more time. I'm Dan Foulds.
I'm PJ Zucco.
And I'm Brandon Bain.
And this is Rubbin' and Grubbin'. Brandon.
In addition, oh yeah, let's do that. Here, man, we're gonna add you in real quick, man.
Oh, there we go.
Up right here.
Looking
Look
good.
at that.
Looking good.
Yeah.
This is live TV, by the way.
That's it. All right, so in addition to loving all things high school football, PJ is also an avid NASCAR fan, loves it. So we got a few questions for him. So
No problem.
PJ, man, who's your favorite driver?
Well, it's kind of like a 3-segmented thing, right? You kind of go through the generations.
Right.
I grew up a wholeheartedly Dale Earnhardt fan.
Okay.
Of course, when everything happened with him, I went on to his son, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and then he retired, obviously, so I had to piggyback to someone else. Actively right now, I'd say Kevin Harvick is my favorite.
Okay.
From 2001 when he took over that ride,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of people kind of moved on to him from Earnhardt to him because of that solely, but mainly with me, it's his attitude. It's his attitude. It's the way he drives. Car hopping Harvick, you know, happy Harvick.
Yeah.
Because he's always got that scowl and whatnot. So he's just my kind of driver. So Kevin Harvick, I'd have to say right now is my favorite driver.
Awesome, man. So
Spectacular.
On to the next one, man. Who's your favorite driver to love to hate, man?
Well, it's funny how this works because you start to hate them, and then if they're good enough, you kind of respect them.
Right.
So that's kind of gone through stages too. I'd say right now, while I respect the heck out of him, is will to win is Kyle Busch. Busch. I have to say that. You know, it just like I said, he has that passion. He has the will to win, but sometimes when it comes out, it doesn't come out the right way. You know, he's been in
trust me, that's the one I love to hate myself.
Yeah, for sure. He's been in his fair share of run-ins with people too that I feel like he was on the wrong side of. So that would be my love to hate driver for sure.
Awesome, man.
So PJ, what's your favorite NASCAR memory?
There's a ton of those too, but I'd say the one that takes the cake is 2014 Daytona 500. First Daytona 500 I've ever been to, and of course it starts out going real well, and then a 6-hour rain delay hits, and we're on the back stretch. We were there live on the back stretch. I believe it was the last Daytona 500 with that backstretch grandstand, and we're camping out under the grandstand for 6 hours, packed in there like sardines. They finally let us come back out, and they're able to continue the race, and under the lights, Dale Earnhardt Jr. wins his second Daytona 500. Of course, my favorite driver, and we had good luck. 3 of the live races I went to, Dale Jr. won.
Awesome.
So you were good luck for him.
I think so. When he
brought the juju.
Yeah, when he brought the 3 back there in 2010, I believe in the Nationwide Series or Xfinity Series, and then in 2001. Dover was the first race after the 9/11 attacks, and we were there, and he won, of course, brought out the American flag and everything. So,
awesome,
I guess you could say we were pretty good luck for him.
Good luck. Spectacular. Hey guys, tonight Coaches has Pub Star Trivia right here in the Sound Garden. Thursday night is always fun. We got Family Feud in the Sound Garden. Savannah favorite musicians, Damon and the Kickers. Dare I say it? Damon and the Shit Kickers in the Sound Garden. That's going to get me in the teeth one of these days. Damon and the Kickers in the Sound Garden. And that is Friday night. These shows are free. And Saturday night, it's musical legend Bucky and Barry right here. Coaches is the spot to watch all NASCAR action. We've got about a gazillion screens here. We got a Jumbotron inside. Come on down. You watch a NASCAR race here, your first beer's on me. I'm Dan Foulds. You just say, Dan Foulds is buying my first beer. We had a great crowd here last Sunday for the race. It was spectacular. So before we get into breaking down last Wednesday's Darlington race, and by the way, with all this racing going on, it's getting kind of hard to keep up with.
It is a lot.
What's on second and I don't know's on third. But before we get into that, tonight there is a race at Charlotte. If it doesn't get rained out, if Tropical Storm Bertha doesn't get them. What about tonight? What do y'all think?
It's 500 kilometers is what they're doing, so it's not even half of the distance, close to maybe a little bit over half of what they ran at the Coke 600.
Okay.
So obviously we had the rain delay for an hour and a half. So what you saw right there at the pickup of that rain delay is going to be like the start of this race. So what I look for is track position. You guys saw meant everything.
Right.
Problems or see some wrecks on restarts. I don't think you're going to really see a lot of cautions, maybe until the end. But I think it's all about track position and what kind of games you can play on pit road to get you out front, whether that be just gas and go or taking two tires. We saw that a ton, but we also saw with certain drivers it didn't work out as well. I believe Truex's car didn't respond well to only taking two tires, when Jimmy Johnson's car did really respond pretty well. So those games are going to be played tonight, and I think that'll probably be what you want to keep your eye on.
So how much of the race has to get done to have a winner?
It's got to be run to halfway. So I don't know the exact laps, and I know it's 500 kilometers.
Right.
So it's 200 and some change.
I think it's 208.
208. So we got to at least
104,
run to 104. After
they
104,
shut the race down
104, it's official. If it rains, it's done. They'll try to bring it back, but at that point, it's an official race.
So who's the top 5 drivers tonight? You first.
Ooh, Charlotte. Well, obviously you got to go with Keselowski. I mean, he was in the right place, right time. Won that one. I'm going to go with, let's say, Brad Keselowski, Alex Bowman, Chase Elliott, obviously. I'm hoping Kyle Busch has an issue because we have our side bet, so I'm not going to pick him tonight. I think Ryan Blaney's going to have a really good run, and I think Martin Truex, man, are going to be the top 5. And then if you look for a guy that's, kind of outside those top 10 drivers, I mean, Matt Benedetto, again, had a pretty good run, led some laps. I think if he gets some track position, he can maintain up there, man. So it's going to be good to look at.
What do you say?
And that's really the game, too, all about getting out front. Most of the time, we saw it there on Sunday. You didn't even need the best car. If you got out front, you could lead some laps. But I think the first one for me would be Alex Bowman. He really dominated most of that race, and then all of a sudden has a bad pit stop, I believe, gets mired back in traffic, and then is almost involved in a big wreck there with a lap to go that really, that pushed him to the back and pushed him to 19th place. But I would say Alex Bowman, of course, Chase Elliott. I think once the lights turned on and the sun went down, he was the best car. And obviously almost came back and won there on Sunday night. Martin Truex as well led 87 laps and ran really well there late in the race with no light and whatnot when the sun went down. Ryan Blaney, you mentioned it. He was in the top 5 pretty much all night, between that top 5 and top 10. And I would also say, I know I believe the rear end was a little out of sync, and that's why he got penalized at the end of Sunday's race. But I would say Jimmy Johnson as well. He looked really good, and all the Hendrick cars did there on Sunday. And for my underdog, a guy that's on edge that people might not think of, I'm actually going to go with William Byron, the fourth Hendrick driver, because he was up there too. I mean, if Alex Bowman or Chase Elliott wasn't going to win that race, I would think it would have been Byron. He had that tire issue that put him back to 20th, but he's my underdog for tonight.
Yeah, I was watching, and obviously being a Gordon fan, I picked up with Byron. Obviously Elliott first, Georgia boy, drove the 24, obviously switched to 9, so I'm torn between 2, so I like both of them. I really think that William Byron is going to be this next younger guy that is going to eventually start winning races, man. He's got a lot of talent. The one thing I think that hindered him this past race was the fact they never got the clean air. He never got the track position. He was, like you stated, between 3rd all the way down to 11th pretty much the whole night. And I feel if he would have got the clean air, it would have been the same scenario as it was for everybody else. I mean, clean air was king. Had he got out front and had that clean air, I don't think he would have been able to be caught, man. He was gone, so it's a good pick.
Well,
Definitely
I would pick him because I just like the kid.
Yeah.
I won money on him every time in iRacing until they wouldn't let him race anymore. So,
and I can tell you, it's not going to be long before you start winning money on him in
the real
Cup
deal.
Series too, man.
Not at all, yeah.
So we had both race winners, Hamlin and Keselowski, in our top picks. Okay, so let's break down a busy week of racing. What a race at Darlington on Wednesday night. The racing was fantastic. We're going to break it down. Brandon, you first.
Yeah, man, I thought it was an amazing race. Obviously, there again, a shorter distance than it was that Sunday. So you really saw how much and how important it was to get, there again, your track positions. Obviously, new tires were king there. Track position was one thing, clean air was one thing, but tires meant a whole lot. I think they said at one point it was like a 1.5-second fall off from old to new. So that definitely paid dividends, and it was just a great race, man. I mean, Darlington's an awesome race. It's very hard to pass there. It's very quick for the shape of the race, and the drivers allude to it. It's not just about racing the other drivers. It's racing the track, and
right.
Especially in a shorter distance. I mean, you really have to, from the green to the checkered, you got to go get it. There's no kind of hanging out, getting your car right, working on it all night to do this. You only have 2, maybe 3 pit stops, with a caution 4 maybe,
right,
to get it right. And if it's not right on that last 40, 50, 60 laps and you have no caution, you're done. You're fed to the wolves, man. So
what you think, PJ?
I think that's been the best part of NASCAR coming back too, is it's different, but not having time for practice, not having time for qualifying. Get in your car, figure out what kind of setup you want to bring, and if it's not right, you either have to be a good enough driver to drive that car
around it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or you have to be a good enough team, or both, where you're able to work through that throughout the race in pressure-packed situations on pit road.
The communication comes in key there,
For
between
sure.
that driver and that crew chief and the pit and the strategy. I mean, the communication is key, especially on these shorter 200 lap races when they're used to running. I know Atlanta's a 500-mile race, 325 at Atlanta. Darlington was right over 3. Most of the time it's 300 laps. Well, now we're only running 200 laps. So you might spend the first 200 laps of a race getting in position to get your car right, and now you don't have that. Now you've got about the first 100, and it better be right, because the last 100, if you're not, it's going to show.
And the aero package combined with racing at Darlington at night, to me, was awesome. I was excited for the day racing at Darlington because it's slick, your tires wear real quickly, it's hard to find grip. At nighttime, we saw a completely different story with almost 3 lanes at Darlington, which is just unheard of when you talk about back in the day. So seeing Darlington with 3-4 different lanes, and of course the shortened distance where guys just had to get after it 24/7, it was awesome racing. It was great.
Spectacular. By the way, I was there when they put those lights on and turned them on for the first time. With a helicopter, and I saw the first guys go around that track with lights up. And
that's awesome.
That's my favorite memory.
Yeah.
So the good, the bad, and the ugly. Darlington Raceway Wednesday night edition. The Toyota 500. The good. Great three wide racing all night. You just called that. The last Wednesday night NASCAR race was way back in the year 1984.
Yeah.
You weren't here yet, were you?
No, I was not.
Me neither. I was a couple years off, so I wasn't here yet either, man. So.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
The bad. Clint Boyer had a meeting with the lady in black. He had a fast car. He won 2 stages, but the Darlington stripe ended his night.
Yeah, he got I think they said it was a control arm or something in the right front suspension broke on him, and that's what ended his night. So at least it wasn't a tire issue, or at least it wasn't self-induced. It was definitely a part that broke, so that was good.
You feel bad. If there's bad luck anywhere on that racetrack, Clint Boyer's going to find it. And,
even in iRacing.
Yeah. I mean, and it really can't happen to a nicer, cooler guy. I mean, he's very entertaining. You hear him talk, and, he has a great time. In the interview, when he came out of, obviously, the medical center, he said, man, I'm trying to go find somewhere to have a cold beer. And, I mean, that's awesome, you know. So.
I guarantee you that dude's got a future in the broadcast booth.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt about that.
No question.
Definitely. Good
The
personality.
The ugly. Kyle Busch wrecking Chase Elliott with 28 to go. Elliott had fresh tires and was catching the leader. and Chase wasn't too happy about it. He does know how to flip the classic bird, or was he telling the 18 car, you're number one?
Definitely, like I said, I am a huge Chase Elliott fan, not so much of a Kyle Busch fan, but I will say this. I will come in defense of the 18 car. This was 100% just a total racing deal. Obviously, emotions were high. Everybody that was watching that race saw Elliott was going to blow by both of them, him and Hamlin, like they were sitting still. It was a done deal. Obviously, Busch knew if you do not make it back up into that top line, you were getting ready to get freight trained by everybody.
Yeah.
This is a guy that you're talking about has won 211 plus races in all 3 series. This guy doesn't make these mistakes, and Chase Elliott came out and said it. He said, this is a guy that does not make these mistakes, and I just so happened the 1 in 1 million chance that he's going to make this mistake, it was me.
It was me.
And it was a total racing deal. He thought he was clear, thought he had room to slide up, knew he had to be there, and just came up there too early, man. It wasn't an intentional wreck. It wasn't him taking him out. It wasn't maliciously done. It was just a racing deal, man. And that's part of motorsports, especially NASCAR.
PJ, you think NASCAR should have sat him down? Should have punished him, done anything to him?
I don't think so. I'm very happy that they didn't, because to me, NASCAR kind of went away in mid to late 2000s, early 2010s. I feel like they kind of went away from what got them to their popularity of what they were, and that was letting the guys go. Having that personality, whether it's good or bad,
right.
For TV or for audiences.
I mean, that's your fans. You know? That's what you look for in a guy. You know, it's like some guys like the bad guy. Some guys love the bad boy. You know, the one that goes out and wins and doesn't give a damn about anything. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's like that's never what I look for in a driver. I look for the guy that can compose himself well, talks to the camera well, but goes out and drives the wheel off the race car.
Right.
But like I said, it was a racing deal, man. And as PJ alluded to, it kind of lost. Everybody was like, white. There was no coloration in the drivers. There's no characteristics. There's no character. It was all just, if you do this, you're done. If you do this, you're fine. So everybody just drove the same line.
Right.
And nowadays, you're seeing it in these younger kids. They want to win so bad. And you see these characteristics between the drivers. Somebody getting upset, obviously, like Chase Elliott did. So I think it's great. I think it's awesome for the sport. I think you need the clashes between the drivers. I think you also need, different personalities for fans to like.
He's dirty.
I'm glad you brought that up. I've read a couple books, and I think you're right. I think NASCAR did change, just from without me really knowing much about what's going on. It did change, and I don't think it's been good for the sport. I don't think it's been good for the popularity. There's a lot of changes they've made, and so as I'm trying to learn about it, I actually asked LB Lawrence Bennett, our producer, the brain behind the camera. I said, "Is it illegal to block somebody?" And Lawrence said, "Not on the last lap." And I go, "Is that in writing anywhere?" And he said, "No." So it's not in writing that it's illegal to block.
No, there's obviously a written book of conduct between drivers. It's not illegal to block ever. We were talking about this before we came on. It's
right.
not illegal to block, period. But if you're going to block a guy that obviously is way faster than you,
right.
expect to be moved.
Right.
Either he's going to bump you and move you out of the way, or he's going to drive you down in the corner and wash you up. It's going to be one of the two. And they alluded to it this past week. Ryan Newman, everybody says he is the hardest guy to pass on a track. And it's because he holds you so tight and he makes you work to get that pass.
Right.
So if it takes a lap or two for guys that go, hey, you're faster than me, I'm going to move out of the way, Ryan Newman's not going to move out of the way. So here you are 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 laps racing Ryan Newman for one spot. You're burning tires. You're burning your equipment. You're doing this. So it makes people upset, but at the same time, it's racing. You're not supposed to just pull over and give a spot. Now, there's strategy to it. If you're way faster than me, I'm not going to use my equipment right now. Right. I'm going to pull over and let you go, and then hopefully next caution or whatever, I'm going to come back and catch you. But there's a written rule of handbook between drivers. Like I said, it's not illegal to block. You can block if you want. But at the end of the day, if you block and it's a serious enough block, expect repercussions for that block.
Okay.
Very true.
Okay.
I think with what you mentioned with Ryan Newman, too, I think a lot of drivers, that even you talk about football with officials and whatnot, They just want the officials to be consistent, right?
Right.
I think drivers just kind of want other drivers to be consistent.
Right.
If you come up on Ryan Newman, you know exactly what you're going to
dealing
get,
with, yeah.
no matter where he is on the track or how many laps down he is or anything like that. But I'm right there with it. There's a lot of instances you could bring up where Brad Keselowski was he right
Done it
to
a
wreck
million
Carl
times,
Edwards?
right.
You know, Austin Dillon, was he right to turn Almirola? But you know, especially on plate tracks and plate races, if I'm faster than you and I have the run, block at your own risk.
Well, NASCAR tied them in the box on that when they took away, when they made the double yellow line rule. They put them in a box saying, look, you can't go below this line.
Right.
So if you're obviously first or second on that last lap and you got to run and a guy's going to try to come down and block you across your nose, you're not lifting. It is what it is. If you wreck them, if they go airborne, you're in a box. There's no maneuverability to it.
Would I be correct in saying you can go below that line, but you can't advance your position?
Yes, you can go below the line.
just can't
Even
pass
if you advance your position, you have to give it back. If you do not give it back, that's when you'll be penalized, black flagged, etc.
I'm listening to you.
But I did hear a comment. They did interviews with drivers asking everybody who was the toughest guy to pass, and it was Ryan Newman. Well, then they interviewed Ryan Newman and asked him who's the toughest guy to pass. He said, well, I've never had to pass him myself, but I heard it's a bitch. So I thought that was awesome, you know. I mean, I thought that was great. So.
All right. So, quick sidebar. You know, I'm reading books, learning about NASCAR. This book here, Chicken Soup for the NASCAR Soul, it's got a few years on it. It is spectacular. If you're an emotional kind of guy, as I am, you're going to need some tissues when you read this. If you need any convincing that NASCAR is the great American sport, it is the home of patriotism in sports in this country today. If you need any reminding of that, get this book.
Yeah.
And there's actually a quote in this book talking about rules in racing, and I swear to God, it's 2 Timothy 2-5. I had to get this book, and it's in there, and it said, if you want to win the race, you got to follow the rules. So great stuff, great book. I hope you get it, and I hope you enjoy it. He's been bringing me books. Then my next one is
awesome.
my next one
I got
from
you a
the,
Cale
from the
Yarborough
Bart
in the
Library is
car,
called
yeah.
Cale Yarborough
Yeah.
book, and I'm enjoying it.
It's pretty good.
Okay, where are we at? We talked about that. Checkered flag for charity. Well, we always like charity. Denny Hamlin was in the 11 car. He wins the Darlington, so that's another $11 to the Ronald McDonald House.
I'm pretty sure I threw the 10 instead of a 1 on the last swear. So there's the 1 for the 11.
To make it to the 11. Great. Well, heck, I'll just do that too. So our total so far this year, guys, is $509. We're on track to go over $1,600 for this wonderful charity. We say it every week. There is kids in that hospital over there, Memorial Hospital, and mom and daddy's there, and they need a place to sleep when they leave that baby's room at night. And that's what the Ronald McDonald House does for them. And guess what? They don't pay for it. We're paying for it. And thank you if you're helping us.
Yeah,
Go ahead and say it.
Like I said, we tell you all the time, man, it does not matter. Like I said, pennies, nickels, dimes, 10s, 20s, 50s, 100s. It's all the same. You guys come in here to Coaches, support a great local charity for a great cause, man. Like I said, anything you can spare, especially at this time of need, is greatly appreciated.
Absolutely.
All right. The Come On Dude. And you know what? Lawrence, I'm having a hard time reading this because I'm not sure I agree with this. Come On Dude from the producer is Denny Hamlin's creepy mask. I didn't think it was creepy. I thought it was spectacular.
I mean, it's kind of creepy to have your own grin printed on a mask. I mean, I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was kind of funny. Obviously, I was irritated because in our game of skill, I had Bush, and I was so hoping this thing was going green because I already knew that is one guy that will wreck a teammate for a win, and I was so hoping it was going back green. But I thought it was all right, man. I didn't think it was bad.
What do you?
I think it was a little bit of everything. You know, when I saw it, I chuckled and I laughed a little bit, and then I got to looking at it some more. And I mean, that's the thing. It was his own smile, right?
Right.
But it was kind of like a chuckle, like a Chucky smile too. It's kind of, he picked the creepiest smile
that he got,
and he put it on that thing. So while it was funny, it was creepy. So it was a little bit of everything. All in all, I'm happy he did it, but I hope we don't see it again.
Okay. Stephen King stuff. All right. Cheers segment. Cheers to Chase Briscoe. He held off Kyle Busch for the Xfinity win on Thursday night, 2 days after learning he and his wife had lost their unborn child. God bless you, son.
Yeah.
After he won, he exited his car and broke down. Lawrence, don't do this to me. It's great to see this kind of raw emotion from a NASCAR driver. If you could see what that victory meant to him, from the lowest of lows to the highest of highs, cheers, Chase Briscoe. Holy crow. Okay, break down the Coca-Cola 600, longest race of the year, NASCAR's crown jewels. He said jewels. Drivers had the names of fallen heroes on the car, like Staff Sergeant Reap on his number 2 car. Okay, I'm going to start here, and I'm going to say I'm a retired soldier. I'm a retired special operations aviator, and I lost friends in combat, and that sucks. And you just never get over that. And I think that what NASCAR did by doing that was absolutely freaking fantastic. It was wonderful, and it meant so much to those families of those soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines. And the fact that that they had the interviews and they had the families on camera and they got to talk to them, holy crow, you don't have no idea what that means to people. So excellent on that.
Hey, we're cheersing again to
Cheersing
that.
again for that.
Gone but not forgotten, right?
That's right. And here's to the Reap family. God bless. You know, if we ever don't have Americans that'll go do what that kid did, as a country, we're sunk. The good, the bad, and the ugly, Coca-Cola 600. Whew, a lot of race to talk about. The good, NASCAR called this race 600 miles of remembrance. No sport is more patriotic than NASCAR, I agree. They started with an invocation from Franklin Graham, that's Billy's son. Then an Amazing Grace played by bagpipes, taps, 21-gun Howard salute from America's Guard of Honor, the 82nd Airborne Division. U.S. Marine and 6-time cancer survivor Ed Schrank sang the national anthem, and every driver had a fallen hero on their car. And yes, I am proud to be a NASCAR fan.
Yeah, man.
Denny Hamlin, losing a piece of ballast. He said, don't talk about that.
Man, it's horrible. I told you guys not
that.
to talk about it. I drew 6 in our pool and took Hamlin. I didn't even make the pace lap, and I was already 8 laps down by the thing started, man. A piece of tungsten, I think it was what the weight is for the balance in the car, and obviously crew member or crew members did not secure that correctly, and that is a ginormous no-no in NASCAR. That piece of tungsten, had it been going 180 miles an hour, could have possibly went through windshield, killed somebody, right?
I believe this happened a couple years ago in Xfinity Series, and it saw a picture of the windshield and roof it hit. And
it did. It
completely caved in.
It crushed it.
Almost hit the guy in the head. So, I mean, you're absolutely right. If this happens going full speed, it could mean a lot of
catastrophic.
bad.
Not only a driver. I mean, imagine if that's deflected and hits a fan in the stands at 80 miles an hour. That's you're dead.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So Chase Elliott took a play out of Ryan Blaney's Las Vegas playbook, and he pitted the ugly, and he pitted with 3 laps to go, and he was leading the race. Now, a little bit ago, you mentioned about that you get new tires and it gives you a 1.5 seconds a lap.
Well, that was at Darlington. Charlotte's fall off was not that bad. Every track's fall off as far as their tires is going to be different. Darlington's obviously way more abrasive than Charlotte. Probably you're running maybe the camber in the car or the way the car is set up, more pressure on certain points, so you're going to burn those tires. So that's why you get that 1.5 seconds on new freshies.
Right.
On this, it wasn't much at all. Like I said, it continued.
We're doing some real world gambling.
Yeah, I gotta do the. I gotta do this right here.
So do you think he made a mistake?
I mean, I think so. Yeah, just hindsight's 20/20. I will say what he did with those 2 laps was insanely impressive.
Right.
I mean, if you're going to go in and get new tires at a racetrack, it's going to have to probably be Michigan or California, because those tracks are so wide. There's so many different passing lanes, and of course they're 2 miles long.
Yeah.
So you have a half mile every single those 2 laps, so a full mile's difference to be able to make up that time. But Elliott did go from 11th to 3rd in 2 laps. That is remarkable, but it just shows you, I mean, that's all he could do in 2 laps with new tires. The drivers, Brad Keselowski, Jimmy Johnson had 50 plus laps on their tires.
Right.
So that shows you just
clean air.
To me, short tracks and 1.5 mile tracks, if you have under 5 laps, you're probably better just to stay out.
I mean, you alluded to it right there. Here's the thing. We saw Blaney do it at Vegas. He chose to come in. He lost the race. He couldn't make the track position back up, right?
Yes.
So far this year, we haven't seen the guy that's got the old tires that's in the lead with a green, white checkered or 3 to go or 4 to go say, hey, I'm going to stay out. Even if everybody behind me comes in, I'm going to keep the clean air. I'm going to stay out. So until I see what happens when that happens, it's hard to tell. It's like I said, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you come in, everybody's staying out.
If you stay out, everybody comes in, right?
So, like I said, we've seen the opposite. We've seen the shoe on the other foot with Blaney. We just saw it with Elliott, where what happens when you come in and guys stay out.
Right.
Yeah, he went from 11th to 3rd. Great run. I mean, obviously blowing by them like they're sitting still, but it wasn't enough time. So what would have happened had he stayed out? You know, I mean, right, if there's 6, 7, 8 cars that stay out with them that might be running 13, 14, 15, 16, if they stay out, I think he's got it won. Now, if he doesn't pit and he stays out and 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, on, you know, from him on back comes in, you might as well chalk it up. You're done. You're going to be, I mean, you're going to be ran over.
I think Mike Joy said, darned if you do and darned if you don't.
That's it, man. I mean, it's either way.
Fans, we'd like to know what you think. Should he have come in? Should he have stayed out? What would you have done different if you were the crew chief calling the shots? Go ahead and drop us a comment on Facebook or on our YouTube channel or on Twitter. Tell us what you think. And by the way, I don't know if you picked up on this or not, but we added some serious horsepower when we got this kid sitting between us. I mean, we got some technical skill and talent here. And unlike us, I don't know about what you do, but when I watch a race, I'm drinking beer and enjoying myself.
Yeah, definitely.
He's actually paying attention to what's going on the entire race. That's going to come in handy for these discussions. All right. Checkered flag for charity.
For the
Brad Keselowski in the number 2 car.
Yeah.
He won. He was in the number 2 car, so that's another $2 to the Ronald McDonald House. That's not good enough for us. We're going to go $2 this week and throw in some of our beer money for a total of $20. Now we're up to $529, and we're still going to $1,600. All right. I want to take a little sidebar detour here. Let's talk about what the winner said. Miller Lite leaving NASCAR?
Ooh. That's a killer, man. I hate it. You know, I used to love Budweiser being there, man, and now here we are. You know, back in my day coming up, it was like, you know, Smoking Joe cigarettes, you know, Camel cigarettes, you know, Budweiser car out there. You know, you had all these big sponsors. I would really hope not. I would really hope that Miller Lite doesn't leave NASCAR. I would really hope they stay in. It's kind of...
Are there any other beer sponsors?
No. Busch.
You got Busch.
You got Busch with Harvick. You know, which is great. I mean, I like that. I just think that you know, we get too worried about what other people think about a sponsor, a sport that has a sponsor of, you know, whatever and whatever. But when you look at NFL, I mean, there's Bud Light commercials. There's this during the Super Bowl. There's this. They all pay for their allotted time to be sponsored. So if you're going to pay, I mean, I don't care if it's obviously cigarettes or whatever. I mean, it's a person's individual choice to smoke or not. Now, I get it. You're promoting it to whoever's watching it for 3 hours riding around. Oh, I love, you know, a kid going, oh, I love the Winston cigarette car. That's my favorite car. I get it. But at the end of the day, if they want to pay the money just like anybody else, they should be allowed to pay the money and keep the sponsorship, man. I really hope Miller Lite doesn't leave. Been there a long time. Rusty, Keselowski, Kurt Busch drove it for a while. I mean, there's been a lot of guys that have been in that Miller Lite too, man. So there he is.
Mr. Miller.
Yeah.
I hate to do this to you, sir, but if you drop out of NASCAR, you've seen your last Miller Lite bottle up here on this podium.
You heard it here first. Heard it here first.
I was very surprised to hear that that's their only race they're going to run this year. They're at the Coke 600, I believe he said.
Yeah.
There. And as you mentioned, I mean, the Blue Deuce is synonymous to me with NASCAR. It's not blue, but of course his number is blue when he runs the car now.
Yeah.
But that number 2 Miller Lite car, like you said, Brad Keselowski, Kurt Busch for a little bit, Rusty Wallace, of course. To me, that's up there with the Rainbow Warrior car
the
from
three,
Jeff Gordon,
right, the three car, you know, I mean, that's been a staple of the sport for the last 25 years, if not longer. And here we are, and now they're leaving, and it's hard. It hurts your heart to see something like that, right? It hurts your heart to see something like that.
No kidding.
We'll see if something changes here.
We'll see if something changes. That, by the way, was the first light beer, and I am old enough to remember that, and I was old enough to drink when it happened. Miller Lite tastes great, less filling. Bob Euchre was the guy, you know, the spokesperson.
Right.
And they were the first ones out the box with a light beer. So that was good stuff. All right. Come on, dude. Jimmy Johnson, the number 48, failed post-race inspection and was disqualified. His second place finish was taken away. We talked about drivers being disqualified last week. I actually asked Lawrence, I said, can you screw up and get can they take your win away from you?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You know? And so he had his second place taken away.
Yeah, that was something that happened when Logano won a race. I don't remember if it was last year or year before. He got docked the points. He was still declared the winner, but he got docked points. And then after that, they changed that to where if you were found illegal or you're disqualified even after winning the race, not only do you lose the points and finish 40th, the win is also taken away from you. And they did take it. In the books, Logano won the race, but he did not make the chase with that win. And that was a big key too. You know, you win, you're in pretty much if you're in the top, 16 drivers. So,
to all you crew
agree.
chiefs. Now, I've heard it said that if you're not cheating, you're not trying, but I'm just going to read you this from the good book. An athlete who runs in a race cannot win the prize unless he obeys the rules. You heard it right there. All right.
There you go.
Our side bet was $5 on the number of miles that Kyle Busch would run in the 4 days of racing at Charlotte. So he was going to do 1,600. He has tonight's race to go. That's 500 miles. Did you?
It's 500 kilometers.
500 kilometers.
Yeah.
500K, not 500 miles tonight. So that's times 6 times 5, 310 miles.
Yep.
So far, he ran 607 miles in the Coke 600, 300 miles in the Xfinity on Monday, 200 miles in the truck race. I love the trucks. For a total of 1107. Brandon has 1,282 miles.
Yep.
I've got 1,300. LB says he said all 1,600. He says, get your money ready big.
Yeah, no, I tell you what's going to happen tonight. He's getting ready to smack the wall pretty early, and you're looking at the winner right here, man. He's not completing all 1,600. That's all there is to it.
I'll say one thing about Big. He's not afraid to take the winnings when he wins, and he's not afraid to pay when he loses. He goes both ways with that.
And I lose a lot more than I win, but I will put myself out there on a limb to say he is not going to finish this race tonight.
We'll have to see. I think that's the crazy thing about Kyle Busch is normally if he has a bad race, I don't think he's wrecking quite a bit. So, and even he had a bad race in the Coke 600, he still came out with a top 10.
Did. So I mean, the thing about him is that you're either going to get one of two sides out of Kyle Busch, and this is why it takes a special guy to be a crew chief and a spotter for him. Right. You're going to get one of two things. This is a guy that'll slap the wall in the first 10 laps, right?
Yes.
And you're going to go, there's no way, the car's done, he's done. Next thing you know, 50 to go, this dude is smoking everybody. I mean, it fires him up to where he's got this intensity like, I'm about to show you. I'm getting ready to drive the wheels off this thing, and you're going to get burned up. And that's
in
you
a
either
car
get
he's
that,
already crashed.
You either get that, or you get the guy that sits there and goes, well, I'm not driving it. It's a piece of junk. It's this and that. And like we alluded to earlier, that's why you love to hate him. Like I said, I come from a school, a Jeff Gordon fan, the guy that no matter if he finished 30th, if he finished second and had the best car, it was, well, we had a really good run today. I got my points, we didn't win the race. Shout out to my sponsors, this, that, see y'all next week. Kyle Busch is the opposite. He's a competitor. He is hungry. He's a shark.
Right.
If he does not get that meal, he's hangry. So when he loses or finishes second, it comes off like whining. It comes off like crying. Like, dude, be happy for your crew. Yeah, I know you want to win every time you're in that car. Every driver does. And he's getting better. He's getting better. But let's carry ourselves with a little couth, a little higher stuff. Get those shouts out to those sponsors. Go on to the next race, man. You got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 more years in your career, man. Like, you're going to be there plenty of time. So.
Yep.
Cool. So another cheers segment. Cheers to Garrett Smithley for rocking the 9-line shirt before the Xfinity race on Monday night. We are proud of 9-line and Danny and Tyler Merritt. They are Savannah strong. Cheers. And I'm gonna talk a little bit more about this. So Tyler was in my battalion, which is why there's a Blackhawk on the front of their shirts. It's called the Drop Down. Tyler was in my battalion, and Danny was an MP, and Tyler supports my favorite charity, the Night Stalker Association Savannah chapter. That's my battalion's logo.
Yep. Awesome shirts, by the way. I've got a couple Night Stalker shirts at the house myself.
We feed the entire battalion, and it's actually me and Lawrence Bennett and Julius Bennett. And if you ain't been there yet, you will be. We go out and we feed all 400 of those soldiers, and then occasionally we feed their families. And the fact that Tyler paid, he writes us a check every time for the food. Tyler Merritt is a squared away, excellent human being. And seeing a 9-line shirt on a NASCAR driver in a car was spectacular. I love seeing these shirts. I've seen them in California. They're all over the world.
Yeah, it's
that
pretty
charity,
cool.
By the way, started out. They started out printing T-shirts in a garage in Battery Point.
Yes, they did. Right down the road from my house.
They were doing that for a soldier who got blown up. They were raising money, and the shirts were so popular, and they went so fast. They said, "We got to get a bigger screen printer."
Yeah.
They now have a 60,000 square foot facility.
Coffee shop. It's nice, man.
Spectacular stuff. And his brother Danny is spectacular. And I mentioned it last week. I'm going to say it again. He's running for Congress in Georgia's 1st District. And I hope you can find it in your heart to check him out, investigate his history. He is a spectacular young man. Vote veteran, vote merit. And that's enough about that. All right. Cheers to them. And Garrett Smithley, we are very proud of you for wearing that shirt.
Cheers.
Yeah. PJ, you familiar with Nine Line?
Yeah. I have some of their shirts. Got, like you said, I believe they have Black Rifle Coffee in their shop and whatnot.
You know what Black Rifle's motto is?
What's that?
Well, I can't say it on camera. It's caffeinated as something.
That's why I asked you. Yeah, that's why. But
the dollar won't cover that.
no, I got one of their coffee cups and a few Nine Line shirts as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely great guys, great company, for sure.
So, I got a mailbag question. Will Dodge ever return to NASCAR?
Rico F.
And that's from Rico. Thanks, Rico.
I certainly hope so, and I think there have been rumblings of that the past 3 or 4 years. I know NASCAR does want more manufacturers in the sport. Whether they would be open to bringing back one of the old ones, as such Dodge is, or not, we'll have to see. But from what I've heard, conversations are open and they're welcoming to that. I think they've experimented with some other manufacturers overall, some other quote-unquote overseas manufacturers. But I'm one that, to me, my favorite car, I loved those 2006, 2007 Dodge Chargers on the track. I think they looked great.
Front end was nice, nose
and then
was
they
nice
changed to the COT and the car tomorrow, and it kind of messed them up. But I would do anything to have those cars back on the track, aero package and all. But with that being said, no, I would love to see Dodge back, and if I had to bet on it, I think I would see them back in the next 5 or 10 years, I believe.
Yeah, they obviously for the 2020 season in 2019. So if you want to get in as a new manufacturer, it comes up that year before. There's an allotted window to put yourself in.
Okay.
Obviously, if there's a team that's going to do it, you have to have the technology. You have to have the the R&D department that's already been working on your car, this and that.
Yep.
From what I've heard is, as PJ was saying, Dodge is probably going to be the first runner-up. They want that 4th manufacturer. They want 5 manufacturers. The whole thing is if you're going to do it, you got to get in prior to that next season. So this year, they had talks. They didn't make the deadline. It was close. So 2021, obviously a new car, which I think they pushed back. So you have a season to kind of relax. Probably not going to see it next year. Obviously, you're not going to build cars for 1 year to turn around to build brand new cars for another. It makes no sense financially. But I've heard Nissan. I've heard Honda's name come up. I've heard Dodge's name is obviously in the forefront. I'm open to anything. Because at the same time, even though you're a manufacturer, you still have to meet the same guidelines that a Chevy, a Ford, and a Dodge or a Toyota. Their front end might be a little different. We went through it a couple years ago in this past year where Chevy's nose on the new Camaro was pointed, and obviously Ford's is pretty flat with that Mustang, and Toyota's wasn't quite as flat as Ford, but they had an advantage over Chevy. So this last year, they kind of flattened that back a little bit. It's still not as flat as the Fords. You're still able to tell the difference between Chevrolet, Ford, and Toyota. If it's a Honda, a Nissan, I'm open to whatever it is. But at that same time, like I said, we all have to meet the same rule book. We all got to meet the same specs. So it doesn't matter if it's overseas, if it's Dodge or not. I'd love to see the 4th one. Now the question is are you going to put the money in that you put into Formula One? Are you going to put the money in to be successful? Because a short-lived stint of NASCAR is going to cost you a very large amount of money as a manufacturer. Dodge did it, but Dodge also had Bill Elliott come in, and they had Ray Evernham, which was, in my eyes, one of the greatest crew chiefs ever with Gordon. So you had 2 really good guys. You had a very experienced driver and a very experienced crew chief. Put that on the map for a while before other teams started switching over to Dodge.
Right.
So you know, as long as you're there and you're going to put it in and give it a really good effort, I don't want to see Nissan or Honda come in and then here you are, you've got, you know, no offense to anybody, but you've got Timmy Hill driving the, you know, number 66 Nissan car and he's running, you know, 32nd. I want to see Nissan or Honda or Dodge come in and say, hey, we've made the big moves. We've got big name drivers that are coming in. We've got good equipment running up front. I don't want to see the manufacturer in the back, the fourth manufacturer in the back. So
Gotcha. So the $100,000 bounty on Kyle Busch in the Truck Series was claimed last night by Chase Elliott. He bowed.
Awesome. He hit the Kyle
incredible.
Busch bow on him, which is kind of his payback. And I know Busch came out with a statement we alluded to earlier, which is a little jab back at him. But it was great, man. I tell you what, Kyle Busch had a really fast truck. I caught the highlights of it. Zane Smith led a good part of that race. And Zane Smith's a name I heard a couple years ago coming up. They asked Kyle Larson and a couple other guys, what's a guy to watch out for in the next few years?
Yep.
Zane Smith's name came up. So it was really good to see him get some time out front in a truck. Obviously, we know it's hard to beat Rowdy in a truck. He's pretty much unbeatable in it. Chase did it. Love it. Favorite driver. Hit him with the bow. I love it. No better payback, even though it was a racing deal, no better payback to say, hey, man, I got you, you know. So
PJ, looking ahead to short track racing at Bristol Motor Speedway in the Food City 500, this coming up Sunday at 3:30 right here at Coach's Corner, the center of the universe. Break it down. Tell us what's going to happen.
Oh man, I'm looking forward to getting back to Bristol and once again getting back to it with a short track and this accelerated time period where you're not going to have a lot of time to figure things
Correct.
out. You got to go out there and figure it
Yeah.
out while you're running also 500 laps and all the headaches that come with that, the bump and runs that come with that, the frustrations of you know, it seems like every time a new rivalry is made,
Right, the heat,
it's at Bristol or it's at Martinsville, and if you're looking for payback, this is a perfect place to do it.
Yeah.
And to wrap all that up in a bow, I feel like the short track aero package they had last year did not do well. It was not a good aero package for short tracks, and the short track racing reflected that. I think they've done a very good job in getting better at that aero package for short tracks this year, and I'm very excited to see what they do with that aero package here at Bristol. And of course, you know, it's always going to be exciting with a Bristol race, but you're looking for that aero package, you're looking for clean air, which is very rare at Bristol, and of course everyone fighting for that one line, whether it's the middle, the top, or the bottom. It kind of changes every single year, but they're all fighting for that one line, and if you got someone in your way, 9 times out of 10 you're probably going to have to move
them. Yeah, I think it's very interesting. Here we are going into a Bristol race. There's going to be no practice, no qualifying, no this, no that. There's no rubber on that track. Now, it rubbers in very quick, obviously. It's the world's fastest half mile, man. I mean, they're burning that place up.
Right.
Darrell Waltrip alluded to it, which is one of the best guys ever at Bristol. I think he won something like 7 races in a row, 9 races in a career, 11, something like that. I mean, crazy, astronomical numbers. But I will say this. What I am going to say right now is there again, these guys are going to fly around this thing, man. No practice or not. There's a few key players. I mean, this is the house of Busch.
Who's going to win?
Oh, Kyle Busch, hands down. If you want me to pick a guy right now.
Pick a guy who's going to win.
Oh, Kyle Busch, period.
We're running out of time. Who's going to win?
If I can't pick Kyle Busch, I would go with Denny Hamlin.
Okay.
Don't worry about that.
All right. All right. Don't worry about the time.
Yeah,
so you picked your winner. Now who's the other 4?
I mean, all right, so if you want to pick the other 4, I'm going to go Kyle Busch. I'd say Chase Elliott's going to have a great run. Ryan Blaney, obviously, in the past few races has led over 150 laps in those races, just hadn't gotten the finishes. That guy's going to smoke it. Kurt Busch has won at Bristol numerous times, the one car. And then you got a guy maybe out there like Jimmy Johnson or maybe one of these other Hendricks, maybe a young kid. We just have to see. I've never seen Bristol race to where it's just a clean racetrack, no practice, no car setup, no qualifying, no nothing. I mean, you're going in there based off of your notebook that you have over the last 4 or 5 years, but we have no data on this aero package. This is new. Like PJ was saying, this is a new aero package on a short track. So what do I do? What do I take from the last 5 years and put into this new car that's going to work? I might put everything into it and get there in the first 5 laps, realize I messed up. I'm not right. We got to make major changes. Right. It's a very long race, 500 laps. Great. It's one of my favorite races of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Both of them. This one and the night race that's in the summer. I mean, they're both great, man. You've had some of the, like PJ was saying, best NASCAR moments have happened. Some of the best ones ever have happened at Bristol. I mean, Earnhardt with Labonte, you know, Rusty and Gordon. I mean, just so many over the years, man, that you've seen these finishes.
Who's your
man.
four? Who's your other
Busch
four?
and Spencer.
Busch and Spencer. Yeah, that one didn't work out too good at the end of it. But.
Exactly. I would go Kyle Busch as well, and Denny Hamlin for sure. Last year's night winner, and Denny Hamlin, it seems like has gotten better and better at every track. I mean, you could probably say that he's just become a better and better racer as the years have gone on. But Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, the other one there, we just mentioned him, Kurt Busch, I think in better equipment than he's had in a long, long time, and certainly looking forward to seeing what he can do. Ryan Blaney, who has led a ton of laps, as Brandon mentioned, but just hasn't been able to get the finishes. Maybe he's learned that patience and that you need at Bristol to be able to be there in the end and get that win. And I would say Kevin Harvick as well. Kevin Harvick is another guy, basically any track you go to, he's going to be really good. Yeah, he's also another guy where if he needs to get you out of the way, he is not going to pull punches.
Not going to feel bad about it at all,
No,
man.
he's going to get you out of the way. And for an underdog, I love to see Matt DiBenedetto go out there and do well.
and finish the deal. Last year killed it.
Almost won the night race. Had I think a top 5 in the number 32 fast car. I mean, this is his best track, and he has great equipment. Yeah, let's see if he can get
definitely
it done.
drove the wheels off of it. I mean, my dark horse going in, if I'm going to look for somebody back in the pack that I think is going to finish really decent at Bristol, that's going to have a good run, I'm going to thump the brain a little bit. I'm going to have to say maybe like a John Hunter Nemechek, man. Let's throw that number out there. I think this kid's got good potential, especially for the equipment he has. Right. And that 500 laps is for these cars, for those guys, is more about survival. If these guys up front start getting into it and get heated and get excited and 5, 6, 7 of them wreck out, you're moving up as long as you can survive. Yeah. And that's the key. So
top 10 at Darlington.
Top 10. Like First race had a great run. Second race not so good. He kind of went out pretty early. But I mean, especially for the equipment, I mean, got some talent, man. So
for sure.
Okay, so we call this show Rubbin' and Grubbin'. The rubbin's about the racing and the grubbin' is about the food. We are right here at Coach's Corner, the center of the universe, right here in Thunderbolt, Georgia, about 80 feet from the city of Savannah. And we've got a great grubbin' pick tonight. We have a guest, so we decided to get some food that we can all take a bite of. All right, so this is our sliders. And I have never had this before, so I really can't say much about it except that it looks good. And you can look at me, I'm nothing but a big tater tot, so I like the tots too. But I'm going to come around here and
they're very good. This is something that I get from here all the time, whether it's chicken sliders or beef sliders. They are freaking amazing. PJ,
there's
go ahead
bacon
and get
on
one,
this.
man. Get you one, man.
There's bacon. All the food groups.
Oh man.
Okay.
Yeah, they're amazing.
That's Fat Dan approved right there. That's good. Outstanding.
Dan approved.
So those are our sliders. We got a full menu of great food. Where can you find the menu?
You can go online, Coach's Facebook page. I mean, they got an app also. You can get that app. It's got the menu on there, man. You guys can come on up here and look at the menu, order some food, get some great eats, cold beer, man, watch some live sports. NASCAR, obviously, we got going on. So like I said, there again, you guys come out, support a great local business. You know, John and Adele do a great job supporting everybody else in this community. You know, the support for them would be awesome. Yes, you guys come up, show some love, dine-in available. We got the Sound Garden out back. You got the Go Food. I mean, man, there's just so much stuff to do here at Coach's. Live music, fun for the kids, trivia. I mean, it's just absolutely awesome, man. So definitely come up. Get something to eat, get a couple cold brews, man, and you know, write a review, man. Get on that Facebook page, man. Get some shouts out, share it out, man.
Get on TripAdvisor, say, Coaches is spectacular.
Yeah.
As you can tell, we like this place. Last lap recap of the show. Tune in next Wednesday for another double show. We'll break down tonight's primetime race at Charlotte and all the short track fireworks at Bristol. By the way, June 12th, Oglethorpe Speedway. Real live racing right here in our backyard.
Yeah, man. Support
with
fans.
fans.
Support your local dirt track, man. That's what it's all about, and it's a pretty good one out here.
We're going out there.
I'm down.
Why not?
I'm ready.
We're going to ride out there.
I'll bring my
I'll go out
cooler
there.
of
Why
beer.
not?
I'm ready, man.
I mean,
3 wide. We're going out there. We're going to check that race out.
It's a great track, and that's where everything starts, whether
That's
it be
it.
talent, young talent or fandom or whatnot. Short tracks are the lifeblood of what you see on Sundays and Saturdays and Wednesdays
That's it.
now. So go out, support your local track, whether it's Oglethorpe or somewhere else. Make sure to go out to some dirt tracks.
That's the roots, man. With the key to that, I also heard, I'm pretty sure Casey Kane was down in Golden Isles. I don't know if it was last weekend or weekend before that, racing super late models, man. So Golden Isles is a really big dirt track.
Yeah.
They pay some big money, have some big money races out there. I'm pretty sure he was out there, man. So, you never know who you're going to see, man.
I was at the infield hospital at Darlington when Casey walked right by me after crashing.
Right.
Oh,
I
wow.
looked at him in the eye, just like
Yeah.
I'm looking at you.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a cool kid. Once again, both Brandon and I and everybody here at Coaches wants to thank ESPN Savannah Hilton Head. That's 104.3 on your FM dial, 1400 AM. Oh, nobody has a dial anymore, do they? Now it's
Hey.
digital.
Hey,
1400 AM radio audience for tuning into Facebook Live. PJ, thanks so much. Listen, we're a couple of yahoos. He's the talent. I'm the whatever. We brought PJ in here, and all of a sudden I'm going like, holy crap, we got some technical expertise.
Yeah, man, we're getting
This
it, man.
is fantastic. I cannot believe what we've done in 16 weeks or so.
That's right.
How much we've had. How much
Had
fun
a
we've
good
had.
time, right? That's
And,
what it's all about, honestly.
it.
I promise I'm going to study harder and learn more so that I know about half what he's talking about. We also want to thank the other show at the Coaches Corner Sports Network. We've actually got our own sports network here.
I like
That's
it.
the Carl DeMasi Sports Report. That's with Coach Carl DeMasi and the AD Chad Griffin. And that comes from here live every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. That's on Facebook Live. Thanks for the shout out, Coach Carl. Thanks for giving us a heads up that we had no volume tonight. Tune in; they do an awesome job. I had the pleasure of meeting Coach Carl tonight. What a gentleman! For a young guy, he's 2 years younger than me. For a young guy, but
For
what
a
a
young
great
guy.
guy.
He is.
Thanks to fans and Coaches Corner, the center of the universe.
Yeah.
Hit like and share. We'll see you next week.
Hey,
Maybe-
also, one more thing before we go, man. Make sure you tune in 31st, Sunday the 31st. We got our radio show going 9 to 10, 104.3, man. Don't forget about that. We got to put that out there. You guys got to tune in, man. Support the show. It's all NASCAR. We're going to be talking about racing. We're going to be talking about the ins and outs, what's coming up, what's going down, latest news, man. It's going to be a freaking awesome show, man. You guys make sure you tune
The
in.
hits just keep on coming.
That's it, man.
I look forward to it, man. Yeah, like
I'm
you
Dan
said,
Foulds.
I'm PJ Zucco.
And I'm Brandon Bain. Hey, till next time, you guys be safe. Wash your hands. All right.
There we go.
Thanks, PJ.
Yeah, PJ, that was fun.
Oh,
man.
fine. No, that was great.
It's reality, dude.
Like you said, that's live everything. I mean, we've had situations where